Hello Soul Tribe, hello Soul Family. I was trying to record this video a little while ago and I literally got interrupted, and the interruption probably took more than 30 minutes. Maybe it took an hour or so, but you're not interested in those kind of things, are you? This is Palo Santo, just inviting the higher frequency energies, inviting the presence of the divine, inviting Archangel Michael, inviting Jesus Christ, Yeshua, the presence of the divine, to just fill the space and be part of this transmission. All right. I'm going to just put this there. And welcome to this channel where we heal and integrate, because consciousness is the new frontier. How do you like my new hairdo? It's not new. I've actually had this hairdo for a very long time. There was a time when I just picked it up and I thought, let me just, put it on to, I don't know, just look okay in the house for cleaning and all of those things. And then what ended up happening is that a little while, like a few hours after I put on the wig, I go onto YouTube to check out this other couple that has a channel as well here. And lo and behold, the lady has chopped her hair off and the hair looks like this, and these are those jokes that the universe will play at us. And yeah, it's just amazing like that. So I thought, oh, actually, this is not a bad hairdo, not a bad hairdo at all. Today we are going to be talking about the 3 life paths, and this is so important for empaths to understand. The 3 life paths are very, very important for empaths to understand, because if you are an empath, whether you are aware or not, whether you are consciously participating or not, you are engaged in a spiritual warfare. Because as human beings, we are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings, and we exist on a multidimensional level. And because of our multidimensional nature, there are aspects of us that are quite invisible but very significant and do affect our lives. So you're going to be hearing a lot of noise, in the background, cars passing and everything. Just let that be what it is. All right. So as an empath, you are engaged in a spiritual warfare of an invisible nature, because the warfare is psychological in nature. And it being psychological doesn't take away from the fact that it's actually spiritual. So a psychological war is actually a spiritual war. That's what it is. A psychological war is a spiritual war. And so if you find yourself dealing with any psychological warfare of any kind, just know that there are spiritual reasons behind it. So this is, for example, if you're dealing with a lot of toxic situations in your life, if you've got a lot of people in your life or a lot of relationships in your life that are showing up in a very toxic way, you are dealing with a spiritual situation there. There's more to the situation than meets the eye. What you are dealing with, or what you are thinking that you are dealing with, is quite often the opposite of what's really going on there. All right. So this is my intention. My intention for doing these videos is literally to generate awareness for empaths, for light workers, for seekers, for people that are on a conscious path, on a journey of awakening, on a journey of ascension, because this is where we are right now. As an empath, what you will notice about your life at this point in time is that the pressure seems to be mounting up to an almost an unbearable level. And the reason for that is so that we can wake up to the reality of the nature of the struggle or the battle that we are engaged in, and begin to, operate or approach the battle or the spiritual warfare at a level where we really ought to be engaging with it, which is at a spiritual level. Remember, warfare for an empath and for a spiritual seeker, for a light worker, is different, from warfare as it would be engaged by any other person. And that's because we are using tools of the light. We are not using any other tools. We are using tools of Christ. And so, of course, that's what sets this particular battle apart, the one that is waged by empaths. All right, so let's explore the three paths. Let's explore the three paths. And very importantly, another reason why I'm actually sharing this message with you is because you, as an empath, you are here to bring about change. All of us as empaths are here for that reason. We are here to bring about change from a spiritual perspective, first and foremost, before anything else. We are here to raise the frequencies of the planet. We are here literally to work with the planet, to work with Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, to raise the vibrational frequencies, to lift humanity from the clutches of darkness. And I will explain what this darkness is about as I go along, but I'm sure you would have come across my other videos that also touch on this, and you will sort of like get a bit of an understanding, between those videos and everything else that I'm about to share with you now. Let's dive into it. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that YouTube can, recommend my videos to you, and also notify you whenever it is that I've got new content out. This is so important. You have no idea the price that I've had to pay to be able to share this message with you. You have no idea the kinds of initiations that I'm having to go through to be able to just bring this message to you. Like I said, from get-go, I wasn't aware of the intensity of this mission, of just sharing a message with you until it became clear to me, until my guides made it very clear. And one of the reasons why my guides began to just reveal these things to me was because I was asking about the level of opposition that I was facing, because it's like as soon as I started opening my mouth and sharing this message, a lot of things in my life just fell apart. Like literally my whole life turned upside down, to a point where now it's hardly recognizable, right? Everything about who I was over the past few years, like it's all upside down right now, right? And this has to do with the spiritual nature of this mission. So initially, as I was doing this, I wasn't aware how much I was actually pressing buttons, and how much I was actually causing, what do you call this thing? I was basically causing, what do you call this? It's not a revolution, right? It's a disruption. I was creating a lot of disruption in certain areas of life, especially from a spiritual perspective, and I wasn't even aware of that until my guides made it clear the kind of mission that I'm here to fulfill and what it is that's going on here, and the forces that I seem to be contending with. Thank God these forces are not really contending with me, but they are contending with the Spirit of Christ. And so thank God I don't have to really be the one that's fighting the battle with my own strength, right? Thank God it's Christ that's doing all of these things, right? It's Christ through us, Christ in us, Christ for us that's doing all of these things. So thank God for Christ, right? So the three parts, right? Let's look at the three parts. We've got three parts. One of the videos that I've made speaks to the stream of consciousness that we are all part of, the stream of consciousness that we are all swimming in. And this stream of consciousness has to do with the life wave of Christ. So Christ is the life wave. That's why he said that I'm the way, the truth, and the life. He was saying this because he was referring to the spiritual nature of the situation. So from a spiritual perspective, when you look at it, it's like a wave that's moving like this, right? So, and this wave is like spirit, it's a spiritual wave, and it's the Christ, and it's moving like this, coming from the heavens and descending into matter, and then moving out and ascending back into spirit again, into the higher realms. And so this wave of consciousness, this wave of Christ that materializes into form, or that descends into matter, that's the same thing. It's the Christ stream, it's the school of life, it's the cosmic school of consciousness that we are all swimming in, that we are all participating in, that we are all a part of. All right. And so with that being the case, what happens is when we descend, when this essence descends into matter, it becomes human beings like us. All of us are part of that wave. However, we are still, part of the divine, and we are still divine in our nature. That's why we have a thing called free will. And so this free will makes it possible for us at any point in time, when we choose so, if we choose so, to move out of the life wave of Christ, out of the school, and to begin to do our own thing. So we always have that free will to do that. And so what then happens with that free will is that then that means there are those of us in this wave that have chosen to fall out of, or to move out of the wave, to no longer participate in the wave, but as I said, to carve our own path outside of the wave of life, outside of the wave of Christ, right? And so that's how we then end up having the three different parts of life. So the first part is the path. The first path is the path of Christ, and this one has to do with the path of empathy. So as long as you are in the school of Christ, the marker for you will be empathy. All right. So as long as you are still having that empathy, very interesting stuff that I'm seeing, because there's something that I'm seeing on the screen with regards to the sage and the Palo Santo. And when I look at the sage and the Palo Santo, there's nothing going on there, right? But when I look at the screen here, the sage and the Palo Santo are doing things, okay? It's like they are actually emitting energy. Interestingly, it's like they're literally, like they are emitting, it's almost as if there's still smoke blowing there, even though this is so interesting. Let me try this and see. No, it's this container. It's this container here. There seems to be something going on with that container. We'll deal with it once we are done with the video. Anyway, so we've got the first path, which is the path, which is the path of empathy. And so this path of empathy is the one that's still in the Christ stream, or in the life wave, right? And so this path of empathy, this point, empathy itself, is that marker for someone that is still in the Christ stream, in the life wave. So if you still have empathy within you, you are still in the life wave. If you still have empathy, if you still have empathy, if you still have empathy, you are in the life wave. Whether or not you are an empath, as long as you still have empathy within yourself, you are still in the life wave. All right. And then the second path is the path that is the path of, this is what Gigi Young calls it, the path of divergency. And just a disclaimer, I might keep quoting Gigi Young here and there, and a few other people, but I will say specifically what it is that they're saying. And just because I may have quoted them on that one particular statement does not necessarily mean that they are saying everything that I'm saying. You understand? Everything else, that's me saying those things. Okay, let's just be clear. So Gigi Yang is not saying everything that I'm saying here today. It's just me saying that. Okay, so to hear what Gigi Yang says about, everything, you are welcome to watch her channel. So, but she calls this divergent path, or the path that decided to take its own direction, she calls it divergent. All right. And so this is the path of darkness. This is the path of destruction. And so what you'll note is in the Bible, when Jesus Christ speaks of the paths, he actually speaks of two paths. And this is the path of life and the path of destruction. So he speaks of these two paths. But then when you look into the book of Revelation, there's another path that sort of like gets introduced, which is the middle one, the one that is lukewarm or neutral in nature. So we'll explore them now. But really, we have two paths. And the reason why I'm adding the third part here, the third path here in this video is because of the role that it's playing currently in societal affairs. And so now the first path being the path of empathy, as I said, you are still within the Christ stream. And then the second path being the path of divergence or divergency is the path where you've decided to take your own path. And then the third path is the path where you are in the middle. You are neither evil nor good. You are neither empathetic nor cold or just dark in nature. You are just in between, undecided, and all sorts of things like that. All right. So this has nothing to do with religion. This has nothing to do with, all sorts of strange spiritual things that quite often happen in the world. For example, this has nothing to do with whether you are this do-gooder of a person or not. This has everything to do with what is in the heart. All right. This has everything to do with what you are feeling in your heart, how your heart is pulsing, because it is an impulse. So you either have an impulse that is leaning or that is more inclined towards empathy, or you have an impulse that is more inclined towards, darkness and destruction. You just have those impulses. And then you get, times or people that will just find themselves in between, and sometimes we find ourselves falling also into that middle path as well, about certain issues or certain aspects or certain topics in our lives. And so we've got those three paths. So let's explore the path of darkness. I want to start with this one because this one serves as a little bit of a warning as well for empaths, because this is something that empaths need to be aware of and understand with regards to the divergent impulse, or the divergent aspect of humanity. Because understand this, when I'm talking about these paths, I'm talking about humanity, three groups of human beings basically. So we've got three groups of human beings: those that are on the Christ path or in the Christ stream, those that are in the path of destruction or in the satanic stream, and those that are in the middle path. Once again, this has nothing to do with religion. This has everything to do with what is in the heart. All right. And so the path of darkness, before I share information with you about the path of darkness or the path of destruction, I have to once again issue a disclaimer to say this is not me giving permission to anyone to start attacking anyone or to start calling people names or to start doing any crazy thing because of what you will then begin to be aware of in your life, because this will get dark, right? This video is going to be dark. This information that I'm sharing with you is not necessarily your love and lights and namaste type of information, but I have to share this information with you if you are going to be waging this war, and if you are already waging the war, because chances are you are already waging the war, even if you may not be aware of it. Like I said to you, I was already doing things and I was not even aware that I was doing them. All right. Like even now, before I, had to do this video. I had to deal with things, like I had to deal with, there's always something every single time when I'm, trying to, not even trying, when I tap into these things, when I do the work of raising the vibrational frequency, there's always something that's going to come somewhere from the unconscious aspects of life. And of course, they also have to do with my own unconscious aspects, but something is going to come that is going to try to basically change my course of direction, or silence me somehow, or to try and, get me to, I don't know, to be demotivated or demoralized somehow, So like literally as I'm, preaching this gospel, because really that's what I'm doing. And as I'm sharing this message with you, I'm sharing the message on one end, on another end, I'm literally, having the sword of the spirit, and I'm literally holding the shield of faith. Like it's a full-on war that we are in, right? This is World War III, the war to end all wars. All right. So remember, as a person of the light, as a an empathetic human being, you are not waging a dark war. So you attacking anyone, you engaging in any battle with anyone, you fighting with anyone, you going dark in any way, you're not helping anything, you're not helping anyone, you're not helping yourself either. You are just adding to the very thing that you believe that you are fighting. All right. So let's explain the divergent timeline, the dark and destructive timeline. So this is a dark group of human beings that exist in this world. They could be someone that you are related to, or someone that you are working with or for, or that is working for you. They could be someone that is just an associate. It could be literally anyone in your life, anyone in your life. And if you are an empath, chances are you have several of these people in your life. All right. So in this world, we are all spirit beings, and we come from somewhere, and we come from that wave, right? We're coming from God. But understand this, that this wave, as it descends and materializes, so that we can end up becoming human beings like that, there are several stages that it passes through, and these stages, they take years, they take eons. And so during all of that, we are having many, many, many timelines and lifetimes that we are experiencing. And so with that being the case, that means that there are other aspects of us that are existing in higher timelines, and there are also aspects of us that are existing in lower timelines. Okay, because all of these things are also, as much as there's that movement happening like this, it's not like it's happening in a linear way, right? It's happening in a quantum way. So that means that there's that multidimensional aspect of the whole situation where everything is actually all happening at the same time. So we have certain things that appear to be like, for example, the wave and the impulse. From a spiritual perspective, it's a wave and an impulse, right? But from a material or physical perspective, it's a person or a situation or a thing. You understand? So the energy that we call satanic or the devil, that impulse materializes as well and becomes human. Okay, in the same way that Christ materializes as well and becomes human, and which is all of us human beings, as long as you still have your empathy. I mean, even if you don't have the empathy, there's still an aspect of God in you. You understand? God materializes and becomes all of us, right? In the same way, God, the satanic impulse also materializes and becomes a human being. All right. So a person that is on a dark path is someone that is now here in this world. They have materialized basically to fulfill the purpose of darkness in the world. So they are no longer part of the Christ stream. You can always go back to the Christ stream. There are processes that entail that you will have to engage in to go back into the Christ stream. But if you are not in the Christ stream, basically this is what then is happening. The person that's not in the Christ stream is here to fulfill the purpose of darkness. unconsciousness in the world. Then this is when, then, according to biblical terms, you will hear of a wolf in sheep's clothing. You'll hear of the deceiver, of a viper, of sons of Belial. These are basically dark and antisocial personalities. All right. So this, these people, and people that are on this dark path, they think and see and approach life differently. They don't approach life the same way that everyone else approaches life. And as I said, antisocial personalities, that's the psychological perspective of it, right? But from a spiritual perspective, there's much more deeper meaning, to who they are. It's not just, like antisocial and all of that. And a lot of people think antisocial means being a recluse, but that's not antisocial. Antisocial is someone who thinks and operates in a way that is destructive towards society. All right, that's antisocial. That's what antisocial is. All right, is someone who thinks the opposite of congruency, who thinks the opposite of love, the opposite of harmony, the opposite of unity, the opposite of compassion and kindness. An antisocial personality is someone who has no empathy, no conscience, and no empathy. All right, so this is this group of people. As I said, they are the embodiment and the physical manifestation of what is called the devil or Satan. All right. So if the devil was human, he would definitely be those people. They can be male or female. They can be any race. They can be of any age. Of course, you don't automatically, write a child off, because, with children, there's still something that can be done. If there's something that can be done, and sometimes, unfortunately, there's nothing that can be done, but you still work with the child, But then a lot of people have mentioned this to say that even children, like they have been found rather to display a lot of these dark traits, right? This is why you find that, even in primary school, one child would have done something horrific to another child. Half the time, that child might be, not all the time, might be, this dark personality in the making, right? So, but you don't write off a child, you still try and raise them and set them on, a path of light. So, how these people think differently from everyone else, as I said, is that they basically want destruction. So peace is uncomfortable for them. All right. Love is uncomfortable. Joy, happiness of other people, especially, is uncomfortable to them. They want destruction. They want suffering. They want pain. So darkness and chaos and all sorts of horrible things are their natural state of being, because remember, they are no longer in the Christ stream. So they have now been taken over and they have now become part and parcel of darkness. So what feeds them is darkness. So this is why it's important for everyone to understand this, or for human beings to understand this, because many people, especially empaths, assume that every human being that you are dealing with in the world is coming from the same Christ stream that you are coming from, has the same empathy that you have, has the same compassion and oneness, sense of oneness with humanity that we all have. And that's not the case. We are not seeing life the same way. We don't approach these things the same way, and we are not all here for the same purpose or to fulfill the same mission. All right. They find all sorts of good things repulsive, right? Anything that's really good, they find it repulsive. They are only comfortable in chaos and discord. Even if they appear otherwise, because on the surface, they'll always appear like, no one is going to go out in the world looking like, yeah, I'm out here to cause destruction. They're not going to put that, outfit on, or that sticker on their forehead or anything of that nature. What they will do is they will just be normal human beings. It's someone's child, like I always say. It's someone's child that you're really dealing with there. That's the dark part of it, that pain of realizing that you are dealing with the devil, and this devil is actually someone's child. Like you are dealing with literally a monster that has horns popping out of their head from a spiritual perspective, but this is someone's child. This could be a beautiful, cute little, innocent looking woman. This could be a cute or innocent looking man, or anyone. This could be a preacher, a pastor, a politician. This could be, a student in university, right? This could be a colleague at work. This could be anyone. This could be a relative, like I said. This could be a friend, a partner, and this is not me sounding alarms, and yet it is me sounding alarms, because really, this is something whereby humanity ought to know, and humanity ought to be like, oh my word, okay, we are under attack. And so we definitely need to get up and start, doing what people would typically do in the middle of a war, but a spiritual war. Okay. So these people, yeah, I've already covered that. I've already covered the fact that, these people, you've already come across them in your life. And how you know, I've already mentioned that empathy is one of the things that sets them apart from other people, because a dark personality, you will know them. You will know a dark personality because they have no empathy. And half the time, people can, disguise themselves as empathic people. There are many different types. When you go into the psychology of the whole situation, I mean, there are different types of narcissists. For example, about 10 different types of narcissists, as far as I understand. As much as there's narcissists, then there's sociopathy, and there's a psychopathy. But then when you look at narcissism, then you find there's different kinds of narcissism, right? There's the communal narcissist, there's the charitable narcissist, there's the covert narcissist, there's the cerebral narcissist, and all sorts of different narcissists. But when you look at it, it's just the same dark force manifesting itself in different forms. You understand? And so this is what makes it very difficult to even identify these people, because knowing, inherently, they know themselves, they know who they are, they know that they are very dark in nature. Believe it or not, they know it, and that knowing, makes it such that they then begin to carry themselves in a way that somehow hides who they are, while simultaneously still being very much evident. So, for example, these people will, like, most of them actually, they gravitate towards religion, spirituality, positions of power and authority in the world, anything that's going to make them appear as good, sensible people. And I mean, they will play that role for years. They will put on the mask for many years, but of course the mask is always for the public, for people who don't know. The people who are usually in their lives, which is empaths, or the black sheep of their families, those will be the people that somewhat have an idea of the darkness that exists within that person. Okay. But most of the time, majority of the people that a dark personality engages with will not know what they are dealing with, right? So, however, if you know what true empathy is, you might be able to see that this person might be pretending to have empathy, but they don't really have empathy, because these people, there's something about them that always wants everyone to acknowledge every good thing that they are doing. That's one of the things that you see, that, okay, they want to be acknowledged for having empathy and for doing all sorts of good things. And then the second way of identifying them, or being able to know that you are dealing with a dark personality, is their energy. Energy does not lie. I mean, right after this, I'm going to do a video that has to do with the language of energy. because this is one language that we have been shut off from, so that it's like we never pay attention to it. Because of course, if we were to pay attention to it, then it would be easy for us to know when we are dealing with a dark entity, because the energy of a dark entity is always, telling. And half the time when you are dealing with a dark personality, there's always something on the surface that they're always doing to sort of like, distract you, to take your attention away from the energy, because it's like they inherently know it, that if you get quiet long enough to pick up what energy it is that you are dealing with when you are dealing with them, then you will realize that you are uncomfortable in their presence. And of course, that might be something that exposes them. So half the time they do a lot of things. They either talk a lot, or they will be dancing a lot, or they'll just be, a dark personality does not enjoy peace, does not enjoy quietude, unless if those things are for some kind of an agenda that they are trying to achieve. But under normal circumstances, they just don't do those things. They don't want quietude. They don't want to allow the Christ stream to flow through them and to flow through everyone in their presence. They just don't want the Christ stream to flow at all. And that's why they'll always be doing a whole lot of things, because the Christ stream is the light that exposes darkness. So of course, when they allow the Christ stream to flow in their midst, what happens is that it becomes very uncomfortable for them, right? Because they start feeling the darkness that exists within them, and then the demons that are really, just using them and working through them, they start tormenting them, because understand, the dark aspects of life, they don't operate the same way that the light operates. The dark aspects of life are going to punish you if you try to do good. Whether you are their person or you are any other person, the dark aspects of life will punish you. And the dark aspects of life are doing that right now. They are punishing humanity for any good thing that humanity tries to do. All right. Because they need darkness in order to survive. They need darkness to thrive. They need darkness in order to stay alive. All right. And so a dark personality human being will operate exactly the same way that those dark entities, the dark demons or the devil himself operates. Like, you are not going to see the difference between the dark personality in your life and the devil. You are not. And this will sound like woo-woo to someone who has not had the experience. But if you've had an experience with a dark personality in your life, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you know it. And this is so sad. This is very, very sad, because this is honestly not something that I really enjoy talking about, or something that I really enjoy engaging with. But unfortunately, it is what it is, It comes with the territory. If you're going to be doing this work, you are not just going to be focusing on the light side of things, but you're also going to focus on the not so comfortable side of things. And this is also what happens when you channel the moon, of course. Many people can very quickly say, you're channeling the moon, that's why you're saying those things, you're going crazy because you're channeling the moon. No, the moon has never been crazy. The moon is a living entity, is a living being. And the moon speaks of, like, literally the moon reflects back to the earth who it is. And to the earth, let's reverse that and say the moon reflects back to humanity the energies that they are holding and generating within themselves. That's what the moon does. Okay, so if there are a lot of negative things that are going on within humanity, the moon will reflect those negative things. That's what the moon does. The moon is literally how the moon operates the same way that the divine feminine really ought to operate, or does operate, and so that's another story for another time. But like I said, after this, I'm doing another one that speaks to the language of energy. Who knows, maybe I might speak about the moon there as well. So dark personalities, if you have a dark personality in your life, chances are it's very difficult for you to accept this reality about this person in your life, because like I said, this could be your partner, like how do you begin to accept the possibility that this is your partner. I mean, I've had clients who, are dealing with this, and maybe this person is your mother, right? Or this person is someone very, very significant in your life, and you've been denying this thing for years, and everyone has been telling you for years that this person of yours is a dark personality, is a dark human being, and they are serving a very dark agenda in your life, and you'll be just struggling, because for an empath it's very difficult to make sense of a dark personality, because everything about you as an empath, or as a human being that still has empathy within them, what makes it difficult to grasp this dark reality is the fact that, if you are, still part of the oneness, it's difficult to imagine the possibility that there could be any other human being that is disconnected from the oneness. It's very difficult to imagine that possibility. Anytime you see someone that is just horrible and mean and just dark in nature, as an empath, what you would normally do is you'd assume that this person must be hurt, and this person must be sad, this person must be needing a lot of love. And so maybe if I can comfort them, make them feel better, or try and help them in some way, then maybe if I do that, that will help the situation, right? Only to find that, no, it actually exacerbates the situation. It just makes it worse. And then you would not understand why, especially if you're in a relationship with this person. You'd say, okay, maybe this is what this person wants. Let me just be this way. Maybe this is going to make the person happy. But then when you become that way, that person actually gets even more, dark in nature. They might be happy for 5 minutes, but the problems just keep escalating. All right. And then you'll wonder, I've twisted myself into a pretzel to try and be who this person wants me to be, but they are still not happy. What's going on? And you would not be getting what's happening there. What you would not be realizing is that for them, you jumping through these hoops is what feeds them energy, not them changing and becoming a good person, not them being a person of the light and being empathic in nature and finally being fulfilled and finally being at peace in life and with themselves or with everything else. No, that is not what they want. That is not what they are looking for. And that's not what's going to work for them. What's going to work for them is your destruction, and you constantly feeding them energy, making them feel significant each time you try to twist yourself into a pretzel to try to appease them. All right. So this is why, many a times you'll be having problems in your relationships, whether it's career or, just romantic or just general personal relationships. Many a times you will be thinking that you are having a particular problem with certain people, only to find out, no, that's not the real problem that you are having. The real problem that you are having is something else of a spiritual nature. And you might be thinking that there's a problem there when really there's no problem. All that's happening is that there's a feeding spree that's taking place. Why? Because dark personalities feed off of energy of other people. So they are energy vampires. Okay, this is dark. I know. I did warn you, right? This is dark. This is sad. This is painful. This is painful. Even for me to share this information with you, I can tell you now, it's not a pleasant thing for me to do. These are not the kind of news that I would like to deliver. But we have energy vampires amongst us as human beings, and we are not aware of it. So this thing of vampirism, the myth of vampirism, is really pointing out to a reality, a very sad and dark reality that a lot of us, it will take many, many years for many of us to eventually accept. But we've got vampires that are living among us, and these vampires are human beings. And of course, they love blood. Don't get it twisted. They do love blood, but really what they feed off is energy. They feed off of energy. So what they need is people around them to suffer. They need that dark energy. They need people around them to feed them with, validation and praises. Basically, they want to be worshipped. You understand? They feed off that kind of energy. They feed off energy when they see other people falling apart in front of them or in their presence. They feel, so basically the opposite of an empath, that's who they are. Okay. So, and it's so important to understand this, because to understand what motivates a dark personality, you have to get this kind of things that, you as an empath, you feed, or as a person that still has empathy within them, you feed on good things happening. Those things inspire you, joy, love, happiness, beauty, harmony, unity, oneness, kindness, compassion. You feed off of these things. They bring you to life, right? That's not the case with dark personalities. They feed on the opposite of that. And so because you need these things to stay alive, the good things to stay alive, they also need the bad things to stay alive. So this is why in this world, the war that we are really dealing with when it comes to corruption and darkness and crime and violence and all sorts of things, if we don't approach it from a spiritual perspective, there's just no chance of us addressing any of these things. There's no hope of us, coming to the bottom of the situation, because the issue is spiritual in nature. And once again, this is not something that anyone is going to readily admit to say, this is what I'm doing here. I'm fanning chaos in the world because I need it to survive. No one is going to admit that. And yet that's what's going on in the world today. Dark personalities in our society, they literally have, what do they have? They literally have, they are connected to each other because they are part of the same stream of destruction and chaos, right? So they are connected to each other. They've got groups, they've got cults, they've got all sorts of things that have to do with them coming together and just, connecting their energies and empowering themselves. So because they have this, once again, we need it too as light workers, as empaths, right? We need to be united as well in our efforts because they unite in their efforts. From an energetic, spiritual perspective, and from a general human materialistic perspective, they unite their efforts. And that's why we are where we are today. Okay, so the reason why the world is where it is right now is because the dark aspects of our society, the dark personalities in our society have band together, and they have used spiritual magic, spiritual technology, and artificial technology to travel through time. And whilst we are being taught that those things don't exist, those technologies don't exist, and all sorts of things like that, they know that these things exist and they're using them. And they've gone, through time, they've traveled into all these other timelines and fiddled with them so that they can basically twist the odds in their favor. And this is how they became powerful in society, because many of them hold very powerful positions in society. Many of them are very prominent in society. And even then still, even if they are not in prominent positions in society, the system within society supports them as well. Because remember, to these people, unlike you would want, order, you would want organization, you would want things to, be cleaned up, and you'd want progress, things to improve for humanity, and things to be coming together so that poverty can be alleviated and things can just improve overall for humanity. That's what you want, right? That's not what they want. Okay, that's not. So it doesn't matter which level of society or which role within society they are occupying. Literally, what they want and what they do is they fan the darkness that exists within society. They fan it. They fan darkness within society. Okay, so you would want beautiful things and all of that. There are some of these dark personalities that are no different from zombies, particularly sociopathic types, right? Those ones, they could literally just be a broken down human being out there who literally just wants to destroy anything and anything and everything basically, and they just get a high from that. They get a feed from that, from just destroying and harming things and people. That's just it. It's like, as long as they can do that in a day, they feel good. They've had that feeding. Whereas for you, maybe you are wanting to raise your family, you are wanting to raise your children, you are wanting to take them to school to do this and that and all sorts of things. No, they're not interested in any of that. And by the way, this could be someone's father, this could be someone's child, and then that person, literally all they're interested in is just, if I can just cause chaos for today, I would have done my part. I would have ticked my box for today. That's my goal for today, believe it or not. So it happens in varying degrees, and oh gosh, like there's just so much that I could say about this, but yeah, that. So you've got that aspect of things, right? You've got that aspect of things. And so what was I saying? So this is why we are where we are now. All right. It's like some portals have been opened at some point, somewhere, somehow, and these dark energies have come in, the demonic entities. And when they come in, you're not going to see them coming in and flying there, unless if you've got a spiritual, eyesight, and you are part of those processes when these people are coming in and all of that, or whatever. But usually when they come in, all that happens in society is that negative thoughts increase. Negative thoughts and sensations increase. That's all. Because first and foremost, before they are physical beings, before they become human beings, they exist first as principles in the spirit realm. And so those principles, what are they? Thoughts. That's what principles are. So that's why when I speak to you about divine principles of God, and we are speaking about love, about connection, about, empathy, about kindness, compassion, all sorts of wonderful things like that. Those things are principles, and they are usually like thoughts. They are usually thoughts, right? High frequency thoughts. So those high frequency thoughts are really things. They are beings. And some of them are angels, so when they manifest in physical form, some of them can come across as angels, or they can come through as angels, or very high frequency human beings, or even masters and, gurus and all sorts of things like that, depending on, what divine principle they are embodying and what area of life they are occupying and what their divine mission is, right? So in the same way, we've got these dark principles that have to do with chaos, that have to do with destruction, that has to do with, discord, that has to do with hatred, envy, war, malice, violence, hostility, aggression, all sorts of negative energies, all sorts of horrible, distorted, dark, perverse, twisted, just horrendous things, right? So those are principles. And so those things have happened, right? They've increased. Darkness has increased in the world to an alarming rate, right? Because whatever number of them that existed initially just kept increasing, because we are really, in a dark age right now. We are at the densest we have ever been as a species, because it's time to raise the vibrational frequency and, return to our spirit nature. And so at this time, usually at this point in reality, or when we reach this level of density as the school of life, when we reach this level of density, this is when all these horrible things then just begin to become very apparent to us, right? It's like you cannot deny it. It's like evil has become normal in our world, right? That tells you how, predominant this dark force and these dark beings are in this world. Because as long as evil is normal, that means someone has normalized evil. And who has normalized evil? Because empathic beings are not going to normalize evil. You understand? So that means dark beings have normalized. And I'm not saying empathic beings are, clean and they're great and they're amazing, because if you're an empath and you are still unconscious and let's face it, we all have aspects of unconsciousness within us that we are all working through. You understand? But I know for a fact that if you still have empathy within you, you are not going to be, praying for the destruction of humanity. But there are people who are praying for the destruction of humanity. Because once again, that feeds them, that gives them energy, that gives them life, that empowers them. So as you get, diminished and you are destroyed, they become empowered and they increase, in their stature and power. This is what has happened to society. This is what has happened to humanity. These are the dark forces that we are dealing with. And they usually use black magic. They use all sorts of magic. And they also use technology as well. So right now, what's happening with humanity is that all over the world, the dark aspects, the dark personalities within the human collective, they've come together and, they have humanity, of course, in this grid, and this dark energetic grid, which can be called the matrix, right? It's a dark energetic grid. It's a spiritual grid that is literally, holding humanity in a very low vibrational frequency. And like I said, this happens through sound, the sounds that are being emitted in the atmosphere. Some of them you can hear them, some of them you don't even have to hear them, but they're happening and they're basically just causing that disruption within the ethers. And also this happens by virtue of the vibrational frequencies that are being emitted by dark personalities everywhere. Because human beings are transmitters. They are like aerials, if you call it that, or they are, what do you call these things? Towers, right? Human beings are like towers. So we are constantly emitting energy and just beaming it forth. So the more there are dark personalities in an environment, the more negative energies will then be emitted. And then those negative energies form an invisible grid that keeps the vibrational frequency of that environment very low in nature. So you've got the aspect of, human towers emitting dark energies. Then you've got literal towers that are themselves emitting dark energies. This technology that we are using also serves in that regard. And then we've got sound, sound, music that is very low in vibrational frequency. But it's not just music, right? It's sounds everywhere, like a lot of sounds that you will come across in the world that are not natural in nature. Many of them, the way that they even have been designed is so that that sound is vibrating against the resonance of the earth, against the sound, the proper frequency that the earth is vibrating at. And also, of course, if the frequency is vibrating against the earth, is vibrating against humanity as well. All right. And then you also, of course, have them in the grid of they are very much involved in politics. Politics have been infiltrated. I mean, all aspects of society. Now, if you want to go deep, and spirituality, religion, everything, they are everywhere, right? They are everywhere, and they've got this grid going on. It's an invisible grid. Some of them engage in literal, practices where they come together and pray for these things and do these things and engage in these activities and so on and so forth. So they also have that going on. So it's a lot. And yet as empaths, literally empaths seem to be scattered all over the world. They seem to be sort of like coming together right now and changing things around, right? And my aim with these videos is to encourage you, if you are an empath, to begin to organize other empaths as well in your life in this direction, okay? Because as islands and as single individuals everywhere, we are not going to be as powerful as we ought to be, all right, as impactful as we ought to be. But here's the thing, thank God, once again, it does only take one. Only one human being is required for the vibrational frequency to be raised. That's how powerful the positive energies are, because as long as you become a channel. All that happens is God himself takes over and does the rest, right? All you need to do is become a channel and allow God to do the rest, okay? There are initiations that unfortunately still have to be gone through. And what initiations are those aspects of yourself that you are letting go of in order to embrace new aspects of yourself that will serve as a conduit or as a channel for the divine light of God, the divine presence of Christ, Jesus Christ, to manifest through you. All right. So, but even then, still, it's still God doing the work in your life. So, yeah, I hope we are clear with regards to the dark personalities. Let's go into the second group, which is the empaths, right? So empaths, I've already spoken about them. So empathy, of course, is the ability to feel your oneness with everyone. You feel other people's feelings. That's how it gets trivialized. It's like, oh, you're feeling other people's feelings, stop taking things personally, but it's not just feeling other people's feelings. And you are not just feeling other people's feelings if you're an empath. You are feeling way beyond that. You are feeling cosmic energies. You are feeling energies in the spirit realm. You are having access to invisible information that comes from the spirit, right? So, and if that information is not good in nature, of course, it's going to, bring about discomfort within your body. All right. But empathy is the essence of Christ within a human being. The essence of God within a human being is the Christ impulse within all of us. It's that aspect of us that still reminds us that we are human beings. That's what empathy is. It's that aspect of us that still reminds us that we are, we are in God, in life. We are in the ocean of consciousness and we are together there. So that's what empathy is. All right. And so what I wanted to say, what I may have forgotten with regards to dark personalities, is that they feed off empaths as well. So they are constantly chasing empaths, hunting empaths. And when they find empaths, they feed off of empaths, drain, suck the life out of the empath, and try to destroy the empath. Half the time they try to kill the empath. All right. So they need empaths for the energy, because empaths are able to generate energy, right? Empaths are energy generators. How do they generate energy? Doing these things that are considered to just be normal and trivial and whatever in life. But that's the stuff of God. That's the work of God that they are doing, which is raising vibrational frequencies, which is helping human beings to transcend darkness. That's what empaths do. Empaths are those people that will lift the energies of their surroundings. Whenever it is that you're around people as an empath, or you are in an environment as an empath and things are a little bit gloomy, usually as an empath you'll be the one that cheer people up, help them to feel better, and all sorts of things like that. A lot of people think this just comes nice and free and easy, but as an empath you will know that this is a lot of energy that goes into it. That's why by the time you are done doing those things, half the time you feel drained and depleted. And most of the time also that has to do with the fact that chances are the people that would have been there and keeping the energy of that environment low are also dark in nature. So you might find that you've got a few just normal good people there, but then there are 2 or 3 or even 1 dark personality there that's keeping the vibrational frequency so low. And when you are coming, then you're thinking, oh, let me just cheer things up, lift things up a little bit. What you are not realizing is, oh, you just fell into the trap, because this dark personality was just waiting for you to do what you do best, because they needed to suck that energy out of you. All right, suck that life out of you. Okay, so that's how these dark people operate. Like I say, they know who they are. They know it. It's like In the same way that you don't have to be taught empathy, and you don't have to be taught, principles of oneness and compassion and all of that. You just know it, that this is how human beings ought to be operating. Dark personalities also know these things as well about themselves. They know that they are dark in nature, and they know that they have to disguise their intentions, and they know that they have to feed off of darkness. They know it. They know that they enjoy horrible things happening in the world and to other human beings. They know it. Okay. They love it. And sometimes they even discuss these things amongst each other. All right. And contrary to, popular belief that dark personalities don't band together, no, they do. They do. If they didn't band together, we wouldn't be where we are today as a society. All right. There's been collaboration. So as an empath, you are here to raise the vibrational frequency of the earth. And however, this can only be effectively done when we integrate the light within ourselves, the light of Christ, Jesus Christ, right, within ourselves. And remember, this is not religiosity, so you don't even have to be a Christian per se to even, participate in this. This has everything to do with, what is in the heart, the energy. So you don't have to be some do-gooder out there in the world or whatever. It has everything to do with what is in the heart. Okay. So you are here to raise the vibrational frequency of the earth. You are here to do that. You are here to lift humanity up. You are here to change things around for humanity. You are here to give hope to humanity. You are here to remind humanity who Christ is. Okay. And so in order to do it effectively, you want to go through your Christ initiation. And what the Christ initiation is that initiation that has to do with you literally healing and integrating, right? That's the Christ initiation. You healing what hurts in your life, what's not working in your life, you removing distortions, within your psyche, so that you can begin to create space and capacity to hold that high frequency light or information from Christ. All right. So that then you can get guidance from him in terms of which direction is it that you ought to be taking in your life and how it is that you ought to be doing the work. For example, if you're going to be raising the vibrational frequency, when you have gone through the Christ initiation, or when you are part of the Christ initiation and participating in it, going through it, you will note that there will be certain instances where you are not supposed to be raising vibrational frequencies of certain instances or certain situation, like those situations where it's a trap by the dark forces of life to just siphon your energy. You will know that this is not where you operate. For me in particular, one of the things that they said to me, because before I knew what this gift was and what it was doing, I used to just deplete myself, giving myself to anything and everything in my life, just being everything and everything for everyone, right? And then one day, as I went through my initiation, it became very clear, because my guides said to me, you're no longer going to be doing this work outside of the office of Christ. You are no longer going to be doing this work outside of doing it for, like, literally, like, within that environment where you are sitting down with someone and they are aware that they have come to you, not you going to them, but they have solicited your services, your assistance, and they are willing to pay for it. Spirit said to me, you're not going to be doing this thing anymore unless that's what's going on. Because this, control measure of money, people having to pay for spiritual services, it usually deters dark personalities, right? Because dark personalities are entitled. They really believe that they should get, everything that life has to offer, the stuff of God, right? Without, paying for it, without, and I mean, I don't really believe that we should even be, in a situation where people really have to be paying for this kind of things. Honestly, I don't believe that human beings should be paying for medicine. Human beings should be paying for health, for homes, a home to stay. I don't believe human beings should be paying for those things. I don't believe that human beings should be paying for water and basic food products. I don't believe human beings should be paying for those kind of things. Basic necessities of life, human beings should not be paying for them, and they should be of good quality. That's my take, right? However, I've noticed that right now, my guides implemented that control measure, and Spirit has implemented that control measure, because where we are right now, in our evolutionary phase, we are still dealing with that situation where dark personalities want these things, but not for any good reasons. You understand? Not for any good reasons. And you know, the very finicky nature of spiritual things make it also so that you definitely want to have a formal setting when you are engaging in these spiritual processes with someone, right? So if you are engaging with someone, you know, outside of a formal setting, and you are doing spiritual things, half the time that tends to backfire somehow. That tends to become, you know, there tends to be a lot of challenges with that, because this is a friend that, you know, was crying to you maybe for something, and then somehow everything just ended up just going upside down. Or this is a relative or someone that you work with, a colleague, or someone, just a person in your life. They asked you a question, and you just basically offered your services or your help or your assistance, and you've gone, you know, overboard with it. And it's like, you know, they have the right to decide whether they're going to take your advice or not, whether they're going to listen to what you're saying or not, and so forth. But what has happened to you is that you have depleted your energy trying to help this person, and for whatever reason, they just don't see any value in what it is that you have to offer them. And even if you know that what you've given them is the stuff of life, and look at them, they are now radiant, they are now shining because you have helped them, right? But for some funny reason, they are still deciding that there's no value in what you have given them and what you have done for them. All right. So when people get to pay for these services, it serves as a good control measure, because then there's a fair exchange of energy, right? You are giving spiritual energy to the person, helping raise their vibrational frequency, and they are in turn giving you money, you know, paying for your time and your energy. People pay for everything else in the world. Why would they not want to pay for, you know, spiritual healing? Why would they not want to pay for that? And so people who typically don't want to pay for these things, and also tend to just, I don't know, pervert anything that is done in, you know, in good light. People who tend to do that are dark personalities. They tend to pervert everything. They tend to twist everything that's good. They will take what's good, what you are giving to them, but they will, this is why the Bible will say, don't offer what is holy to pigs or to dogs or something along those lines, right? It's because when you are dealing with dark personalities, they are not going to be grateful for anything that has to do with the light, because they hate the light. They will, you know, steal the energy that comes from the light, but they will spit at the light afterwards. All right. So that's what we are dealing with here. Very dark stuff, right? So you as an empath, you want to be aware of these things, and you want to literally focus on the guidance that you are getting from Christ in terms of what you do, or your guides, right? Because remember, your guides are part of the Christ stream as well. Your guides are usually part of the Christ stream. Your ancestors are also part of the Christ stream, and so on. So just because I'm saying Christ here a lot does not take away from the fact that there are still all those other entities that are part of this whole process, right? So you get that guidance in terms of who to help, who not to help, when not to help, how to help, how not to help, how to preserve your energies, and so on and so forth. All right. So that's you, the empath. Your mission is very big in this world because only empathy is going to be able to turn things around right now. Empathy has been considered to be something that is weak, something that is just useless, something that is not important. But that's far from the truth, right? It's just a distortion. This is just a false image that has been painted over the true image that should really be the one that, has to do with empathy. So empathy is not just being irrational and crazy and all of that. Empathy is literally having that essence of God within you, which is compassion, which is kindness, which is oneness, which is harmony, which is love, which is beauty, and all sorts of wonderful things like that. Peace and all those things, right? That's what empathy is about. So, and understand this, all those things that I just mentioned and more, they are light in nature. So they hold a very light frequency. They hold a very high frequency, and in their very nature, they dissolve dark energies. You understand? So they disempower the overlords of the dark personalities. Okay. So this is why empaths are so important, because when empaths occupy their position as the light that they are, or as the channels of light that they are, what they do is they basically just radiate the presence of God in the world. They radiate the presence of God. Literally, you could just be sitting there as an empath and just radiating the presence of God in the world and dismantling and breaking down every stronghold in the spirit realms, right? That's what you do as an empath. That's why you are under attack. Remember, you are also being hunted by dark personalities, and they are hunting you because they know that as much as they need you as a food source, you are also a threat to them as well, because you within you have the Christ, and the Christ is the only thing that can destroy them. All right. So it's not your wisdom, it's not our wisdom or strength, it's the wisdom of the divine within us. Within us, it's the wisdom of the divine within us. Many a times, even when God does these things through us, we are not even aware of it. We are not participating in it. We are just existing, and God is busy shooting arrows through us. Because in the same way that a dark personality will be emitting negative vibrational frequencies and causing discord in the atmosphere, an empath would be emitting high vibrational frequencies and causing alignment in the atmosphere. All right. Raising the vibrational frequencies. Okay. Just with presence. Just with presence. All right. So this is the spiritual nature of this situation. So now there's a third group, of course. So a dark personality is here on a mission to cause discord and chaos in the world. And really, they're also serving as some form of an initiation for empaths as well. But don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean that you need to be friends with dark personalities, because if you're an empath, you're not going to benefit greatly. You are likely going to suffer from trying to befriend dark personalities, right? But yeah, that's that. And then, so as an empath, you are here on a divine mission to spread the light, to spread the love, to heal the world, and to raise the vibrational frequencies of the earth, right? This is why I'm still saying once again that there's no way that what they say about Michael Jackson could be what they're saying about him, not from what has been revealed to me so far, right? Not based on that one. So anyway, the third group here is the one that is in between, the one that they say is the lukewarm group. Okay, so this lukewarm group is, that one that usually they are here on a material mission. It's both material and spiritual in nature, but it's more like, this is what Dolores Cannon, right? She calls them the back feelers kind of a situation. But the thing is, back feelers are not really back feelers, right? Back feelers are back feelers to you, to you that's, for example, listening to this. But back feelers themselves are not back feelers to themselves. So we are all back feelers in someone else's story to a certain extent, right? We are like the extra cast in the the extras in the cast, right? We are all like extras to a certain extent in someone's divine mission, kind of. So, however, um, the backfillers in your particular life story and mission are this group of people that are just in between. They are the lukewarm group, right? They are just in between. They are neither hot nor cold. They are neither dark nor light. They are just in between there. And so this group is a group that's sort of like a sitting duck in a way, but not a sitting duck that they could. I mean, we are all sitting ducks to a certain extent, in this world, because no one knows what's going on there. By the grace of God, we are protected and shielded and, covered, right? However, with dark, with this middle path, the lukewarm group or the backfillers, what happens with them is that they're not interested in any of these things. They're not interested in a conscious awakening or spiritual awakening or spirituality. They're also not necessarily interested in becoming aware of the dark aspects of life, or also maybe calling it out, or changing things. It's like they accept everything just as it is, kind of like it's like everything is for them like that, like, and so whenever it is that dark personalities want to, for example, use them as, a bait to maybe triangulate empaths or whatever on some dark war, backfillers can be used by dark personalities in that regard. A backfiller can be used to cause chaos. And as I said, empaths have also been used by dark personalities. Understand that. In the same way that even dark personalities have also been used by the light. So these things get a little bit complex like that. But yeah, so these backfillers also can get used or can serve the agenda of the light, of, they can serve empaths. They can help empaths, for example, sometimes when empaths need help and so on and so forth, or whatever. But the thing with backfillers is that they are, they are not in and they're also not out. And so you can't really trust them fully. If you're an empath, you can't really trust them. It's like you just accept. I mean, here's the thing: in this world, you are not going to easily trust anyone. You're going to place your trust in the divine, because the divine is the one that created you. And the divine is the one that can be trusted. Human beings, can change at any moment, at any point in time. So whatever levels of trust that you can have towards human beings, when it comes to backfillers, it's like you can't really trust them very much, because even the dark aspects of life, like those dark principles that operate in the invisible realms of life, the dark thoughts, they can easily, possess a backfiller, because they're not standing on their own, and they're not standing on any particular thing, on any particular truth. You understand? They're not embracing any particular impulse per se. They are just in between. So it's like they are almost in the school of life and they're almost out of it, kind of like. It's like they haven't yet decided, that kind of a situation, for whatever reason, only God knows. So anytime, dark entities can use this person for whatever agenda that they want to use them. And so that's why, as an empath, it's like you're not 100% trusting the backfiller, people in your life. Remember, there are only backfillers in your life, but in their lives, they're on a journey. We've all been backfillers at some point, in our lives also. I think I've mentioned that before, but I just want to expound on it a little bit to say, when you are still, coming up in your journey, and you are dealing with a lot of dark personalities because you're an empath and you're not aware, what happens is dark personalities in your life will definitely, recruit you into their agenda. They will make you fight their battles. They'll make you do all sorts of things. So in that regard, you are a backfiller, serving a dark agenda. Okay. And then so when you come out and you realize, oh snap, I was serving the devil. I was doing all sorts of horrible things and I was not even aware. Like I was literally a pawn in the game here and I was not even aware. And so that's what happens, So we all become backfillers at some point in our journey. And so yeah, it is what it is. But that's those. So really, the back filler is not really a thing, but it's a thing, right? It's a thing, but it's not a thing. It's that paradox. What you are really dealing with here is these two streams of consciousness that are at war with each other. And in reality, the stream that's really at war here is this parasitic stream that needs to feed off of others to survive. And this one needs to attack the stream of light, because once again, when it attacks the stream of light, it feeds off of the discord and chaos. And also it needs to attack the stream of light because it cannot afford the light to shine the light, right? And so with the light stream, what you are having there is just this stream of beings and entities and groups and energy that are just here to shine the light. And by shining the light, unfortunately, they are causing problems in the dark aspects of life, in the dark stream of life, because when you shine the light, you dissolve the darkness, you understand? So that's really what's going on here. These are the three parts that we are really dealing with as human beings. I hope this was very informative to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing your input in terms of your experiences with different types of streams, these three streams particularly that I've just mentioned now. Have you come across a back filler? Have you become a back filler yourself? Have you come across dark personalities, and how do you deal with dark personalities in your life? I know a lot of people who are in the spiritual, religious, and love and light type of communities like to say, oh, you must just pray for everyone. Don't judge everyone. Don't call people dark personalities, and don't say they are serving the devil and they are satanic and all of that. People can change and all sorts of things like that. And all I'll say is that I've done this research for 30 years, and I've gone through several years, like just almost 10 years of initiation, right? And this is something that has been made blatantly clear to me, that this is what we are dealing with. This is the last conclusion that I would have liked to reach about anything or anyone in life. But unfortunately, that's the reality that we are dealing with. We've got dark personalities, and one of the reasons why you might be saying such kind of things is because you know of a dark personality in your life that you are somehow still benefiting from. And if you look deep enough, you might find that dark personality is actually serving a dark agenda in your life. For example, they are supporting an unconscious aspect of yourself that you do not want to let go of. You understand? And it is what it is. That's fine. So when it's time for you to see these things that I'm sharing, you'll see them. So as long as you don't see them, I'm not really expecting you to understand or even agree with me or what I'm saying. I also know that Jesus Christ himself called this type of people sons of perdition, or the devil's children. He said the devil is your father. And when you understand these things, it makes perfect sense that, oh yeah, of course, the devil would be the father of a dark personality, because from a spiritual perspective, a dark personality is really an embodiment of the devil. The dark personality is literally the devil incarnate in human form, right? And so this is how Jesus dealt with them, because a lot of people like to use an example. Jesus said, let's love everyone. The Bible says we must love everyone and pray for everyone. You pray for people and you love people, but that doesn't change the reality of, who they are and who they are showing up as. And you also cannot be, basing your decisions on the fact that this person might change someday. You base it on who they are showing up and how they are showing up as that point in time. You understand? So Jesus Christ rebuked these people greatly, called them out, for who they are. Of course, we are not going to be taking that direction here. What we are going to be doing is empowering ourselves and each other as empaths to be able to do the work which Christ paid a massive price for us to be able to do. That's all we're going to be doing, right? And so I'm not sharing this information so that we can hate on dark personalities, because hating on dark personalities feeds them. All right, it feeds that dark energy. So instead of hating dark personalities, what we are going to be doing is loving them, but we're going to be loving them whilst putting up boundaries at the same time. All right. So we are going to be saying no to emotional abuse, to manipulation, to all sorts of horrible things that dark personalities tend to do in our lives. We're going to be saying no to our energies being siphoned from us. We're going to be saying no to toxic situations that, dark personalities quite often tend to want to subject us to. So we're going to be saying no. And so in the same way that you say no to a child, really, we're going to be saying no to these dark personalities. All right. We say no to children not because we hate them. We say no to them because we love them. All right. So we're not hating on dark personalities. We're loving dark personalities. We are just saying no to being abused. We are saying no to the suffering of humanity. Okay. There are millions, if not billions, of human beings and children going to bed hungry at night every day right now in the world. All right. Millions of human beings are literally dying every day because of this system that, has been created by the dark aspects of our society. And so we are changing all of that by anchoring the presence of God in this world, first within ourselves, and then into those various aspects of society that we occupy. That's what we are doing here. All right. So we are not out to, pull up some placards and, vandalize anything and fight with anyone about anything and cause any chaos or disruption of any sort in that regard. That's not what